US ambassador's residence in Regent's Park, where he'll rest for about an hour, and maybe, as Norman was just telling us, he'll be passing over the thousands of people who are now in Regent Street, outside New Broadcasting House and Portland Square. Thousands of them. They did say that they expected 10,000 people in London for these protests today, and this is just one of two marches. This is the Stop the Trump march. The earlier one, the Women's March, arrived in Parliament Square at Westminster mid-afternoon, and of course this morning, which was very much the focus for the cameras, the blimp was flown above Parliament Square, this 6-metre inflatable of President Trump as a baby. Norman was saying that yes, he is very sensitive, and obviously he's attacked Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, for allowing the blimp to be flown, and he took him on about the way he was tackling crime and immigration. But also this might be some grist to the mill, because as Norman said, he did take on some of those hot button issues that he's based back in the United States, like such as NATO spending, such as immigration, and the way that he perceives that it's changing the culture of the United States and Europe, taking on Europe about trade and tariffs. And so those are the sort of things that bring out these protests. For a certain percentage of American people, they won't care about these images. They will think that he's fighting the issues that he promised he would fight on during the 2016 campaign. But not an easy afternoon really for Theresa May. There was a moment there where she had to grin and bear it when he praised her nemesis Boris Johnson, who of course has poured cold water over this Brexit proposal she's put on the table. He could do a terrific job, he said, as the Prime Minister, although on numerous occasions had to walk back his comments in the sun while praising Theresa May and saying that he hadn't spoken badly of her. Well, let's get an idea of what has been going on through the day. Plenty to discuss, and we'll get into that in the next hour. But first, here is Alex Forsyth with a look back.
Always highly anticipated, the tension around this moment today was vastly heightened. Earlier, President Trump had criticised the Prime Minister's Brexit strategy in a newspaper interview, saying it could kill off US trade deals. No sign of that now, though. In fact, quite the opposite.
We agreed today that as the UK leaves the European Union, we will pursue an ambitious US-UK free trade agreement. The Chequers Agreement reached last week provides the platform for Donald and me to agree an ambitious deal that works for both countries right across our economies. A deal that builds on the UK's independent trade policy, reducing tariffs, delivering a gold standard in financial services cooperation, and as two of the world's most advanced economies, seizing the opportunity of new technology.
But did the President agree?
Once the Brexit process is concluded and perhaps the UK has left the EU, I don't know what they're going to do, but whatever you do is okay with me. That's your decision. Whatever you're going to do is okay with us. Just make sure we can trade together. That's all that matters. The United States looks forward to finalizing a great bilateral trade agreement with the United Kingdom. This is an incredible opportunity for our two countries, and we will seize it fully.
But there were questions about that interview. Had he changed his mind?
Unfortunately, there was a story that was done, which was, generally fine, but it didn't put in what I said about the Prime Minister, and I said tremendous things that we record when we deal with reporters. It's called fake news. We solve a lot of problems with the good old recording instrument. But what happens is that, look, the Prime Minister, as I really just said, she's going to make a decision as to what she's going to do. The only thing I ask of Theresa is that we make sure we can trade, that we don't have any restrictions, because we want to trade with the UK, and the UK wants to trade with us.
Theresa May was clear too.
There will be no limit to the possibility of us doing trade deals around the rest of the world once we leave the European Union on the basis of the agreement that was made here at Chequers and that I've put forward to the European Union. And just to be clear, that is an agreement that delivers on the Brexit vote that we had in 2016 here in the UK, that delivers what I believe is at the forefront of people's minds when they were voting to leave the European Union.
The pair had met earlier for formal talks. That interview in the background. Donald Trump had suggested in The Sun that Theresa May's Brexit negotiations had fallen short.
I would have done it much differently. I actually told Theresa May how to do it, but she didn't agree with it. She didn't listen to me. She didn't listen. No, I told her how to do it. That will be up to her to say. But I told her how to do it. She wanted to go a different route.
His comments landed with a thud. He had said if the government stuck to its current plan, there'd be no trade deal with the US.
Well, if they do a deal like that, it will most likely, because we'll be dealing with the European Union instead of dealing with the UK. So it will probably kill the deal with, if they do that, their trade deal with the US will probably not be made.
The president might have changed his tune this afternoon, but his earlier comments were already seized upon by some Tory Brexiteers. In Westminster, Theresa May is already facing a backlash from her Brexit-supporting MPs. Donald Trump has fueled their argument just as she's trying to hold her fractured party together. And it wasn't just Brexit he shared his views on. Just days ago, Boris Johnson quit over the government's Brexit policy. He's long been a thorn in Theresa May's side, but the president praised him.
I was very saddened to see that he was leaving government. Well, I'm not pitting one against the other. I'm just saying I think he'd be a great prime minister.
At Chequers today, the tone was much more conciliatory. This was a demonstration of friendship.
Boris Johnson, I think, would be a great prime minister. I also said that this incredible woman right here is doing a fantastic job, a great job. And I mean that. And I must say that I have gotten to know Theresa May much better over the last 2 days than I've known her over the last year and a half.
So what about those Brexit negotiations?
No, well, you can't walk away, because if she walks away, that means she's stuck. Can't walk away. She's a very smart, very tough, very capable person. And I would much rather have her as my friend than my enemy. That I can tell you.
We are friends.
But some words can't be unspoken. His earlier comments unlikely to be forgotten. Alex Forsyth, BBC News.
No, and I think we are quite familiar now that what President Trump says in the presence of world leaders is not necessarily what he thinks in private, or indeed the actions that he might take at a later date. You're looking at the pictures, incidentally, here of the protests now in central London on Regent Street, making their way from Portland Square, which you can see on the left side of your screen there, down to Parliament Square in Westminster. Thousands of people, you'd have to say, in Regent Street this afternoon. The biggest protest that we've seen so far, and the second protest of the day. We do have some protesters now gathering here at King Henry VIII's Gate at Windsor as well, although this is a smattering compared to what you're looking at on your screens there. So let's check in with Anita McVeigh, who is down at Westminster, down at Parliament Square, where this rally will finish. Anita.
Hello, yes, and that earlier protest, the Bring the Noise protest, which set off from...
I mean, basically the traditional things that have regularly been used in the period when the Queen was much younger, and she keeps them going.
Okay, and how long is he likely to be in there for?
Well,
Melania will be there too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, tea takes the time tea takes. I would imagine no less than half an hour, probably no more than 3/4 of an hour.
And what do they tend to talk about while that is happening? And is she briefed beforehand by her government?
Well, to a certain extent, but this is a private time, and the Queen...
Nations fans, their previous best World Cup finish was semi-finalists in the 1998 tournament, knocked out by eventual winners France.